Grand Rising family. This is Ron. It is Saturday, July 5th, a little after 10 a.m. So we'll get started and see if we have any questions or comments or anything. Anyone?
Yes, I have a question. What are y'all thoughts about the bill that Trump passed?
Pastor, you want to get that one?
Yeah, okay. Um, that bill, it is going to turn out to be one of the best motivating forces that we ever seen because of the number of people that it affects. Not only that, but there are going to be people from every walk of life, especially what we call different races, inclusive of Caucasians, who's going to feel the pain from that bill. And that's going to force people to come together. Right now, everyone is trying to figure out why we as Africans are not in the streets. Well, no one is asking why there are not more white people in the street or more Asians in the street. Um,
Pastor, can I
yeah,
ask a question? Can you please give us a brief understanding of the bill? So when you go into everybody else.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Um, bill that Catherine with the C is talking about, asking about, is going to reduce Medicaid, and is going to it's estimated in the state of South Carolina that there will be 297,000 people who will lose Medicaid. Across the country, there'll be 11 million people who lose insurance. The SNAP program is all but shut down. SNAP program is a program that feeds children. And one of the biggest recipients of, well, two actually of the biggest recipients of Medicaid benefits, which includes healthcare as well, are the children, the disabled, the elderly, especially those who are in nursing homes, and those who have a very low income from Social Security have Medicaid as a support for them. Food stamps is going to be cut as well, and the increase goes to almost almost $1 trillion in taxes go to the ultra wealthy, and the idea of no taxes on tips sounds good on the surface, but that ends in 3 years. However, the tax breaks for the ultra wealthy have no sunset at all. Excuse me. The, the major parts of the bill that's going to be painful are not going into effect until after the midterm election. And the biggest portion of cuts in Social Security and Medicaid are not going into effect until 28. And the reason they're going into effect after the midterms is because the Republicans feel like they're going to win either way, meaning that if the Democrats overtake the House and the Senate, then the Republicans are going to blame them for what's happening in terms of the Medicare cuts, and the other provisions in that bill. if the Democrats lose, then the Republicans don't have anything to worry about. And they will be safe until 28. Why? Because it was time so it would be over with, that Trump's administration, rather, would be done before the total bill goes into effect. As for the taxes and stuff, they go into effect immediately. But as I said, for the low income people, taxes are going to end in 3 years. But the other thing is that for low income people, taxes increase.
I have a
the tax-
question.
beg your
I'm
pardon?
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The taxes,
If all of these laws were changed, and if the administration changes again, and all of those laws be changed by a new House of Representatives and Congress.
yes, they can be changed.
So those permanent extensions of tax cuts for the ultra rich can be changed, given the right circumstances.
Yes, they can be
Okay,
changed.
thank you.
Yeah. So the question is whether or not the Democrats has the stomach to change them, because those people who are receiving the tax breaks are the same people who finance Democrats too. So anyway, this bill, it has been deemed to be the worst bill ever passed in the history of the country, and that is true. This is the first time since the end of the Civil War that all people in this country, regardless of race, are in the same boat when it comes to that bill. During the Depression and right after the Civil War, even though white people were suffering, they were told, but you white, you have a chance. And that ended the coalition that had been formed, because after slavery and during the Depression, there was a coalition being formed to challenge the government. Now, during the Depression, the difference was that didn't nobody have any money but black people. When it comes to what we call middle income people, nobody had money but black people, because black people were not allowed to put their money in banks. So they kept it at home under the mattress, etc. So anyway, that's the gist of the bill. And those are some of the effects of the bill. And I solicit all of you to read it for yourself. You don't have to read the whole 1,000 pages. You can actually Google what's in the bill, and you can read it, because it will AI would print it out, would bring it up rather, in ways that you can simply read the text of the bill without having to read the gist of the bill without having to read the whole bill. Questions?
Can it not be?
Right.
Can it not be said that then, for the first time, if everybody is being affected the same way, that that's a good thing?
Yes, absolutely a good thing. We know that change doesn't come without pain. We understand that. Our responsibility is to mitigate as much pain as we can. And how do we do that? We have access to the energy of the universe like we never had before. And we set our desires and just be. And our desire is to mitigate as much pain as we can by desiring for everything to come to a head very quickly. That means the deportation of people. That means the manipulation of the stock market. That means the tariffs, all everything that is adverse to humanity. Our desire is to bring it to a head so it can end as soon as possible. This is one of the things that, well, let me tell you a few of the things that I desire, and I hope that you find value in them, and if so, they can become your desires as well. One desire is that the economy crashes soon as a result of the tariffs and as a result of the bill that was passed. The other factor that can bring it to a head quickly is the midterm election, how it turns out. And when I say that, I'm talking about more people who are younger and more progressive winning these elections. Keep in mind that we have to intervene, because if we don't, the same computer program that got Trump elected will get Republicans elected again. The other thing is that the people who have mamas, grandmamas, granddaddies in the nursing home, aunts, uncles in the nursing home, that they will begin to feel the pinch quicker than expected, because we know that middle income people put their parents in nursing homes, white people in particular put their parents in nursing homes. And with Medicaid being cut the way it is, there is, they don't have the income to keep them in the nursing home if they have to pay out of pocket. So that's a way to bring things to a head very quickly also. And the free school lunches is method as well. When school starts, not only will our children who have free lunches be affected, but states like West Virginia, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana will be affected as well. Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi are the three poor states in the country. Those so there are so many different approaches that can be taken to bring this to a head. And again, my desire is asking the ancestors to show us how to bring it to a head, or the universe to bring it to a head without with whatever it takes to bring it to a head. So that's it. That's what I desire, and I hope that you find value in these desires. Thank you.
Ashe.
Ashe. Questions, comments?
Good day, sir. Question. Do you think the Republicans have extended the dates for when this has become active so they believe the people are going to forget how it got started? Is that their intent?
Yeah, that is indeed. Keep in mind that Mitch McConnell made a statement just as the bill was getting to the Senate. And his statement was, they'll forget it, or they'll get over it. And he means that. And people do get over stuff, especially Caucasian. Especially if it doesn't bother them immediately, they get over stuff. So we have to make sure that they don't, with a desire to make sure that all of this stays public, and people in places like Mississippi, Alabama, etc., get be hurt because the states. Barbara Jean, would you mute your phone, please? The
Yes.
states, thank you. The states that are going to hurt the worst are red states. They're going to experience more pain than any other states because they are bigger states. And the idea of taking money from California, California get billions of dollars for these safety net programs. But California puts more money into the federal treasury than any state, and it gets less money from the treasury. The people who get the greatest amount of money from the government are red states, and they are the ones that's going to suffer the most. When you get someone like Tillis resigning rather than to hurt his people in North Carolina, that speaks volumes to where we're headed. So the self-implosion of the Republican Party is also our desire. And the memory of an elephant when it comes to this bill is our desire for everyone in this country. I hope that helps you, Mara.
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Do you think they'll put those people that's on Medicaid on Medicare?
Nope, they can't. Those are two separate programs. Medicaid was brought into existence in the 60s for the express purpose of helping poor white people in like in the people in the Appalachian Mountains. And we people from our group, our race, benefited from it because they could not keep them off of it, but they benefited less than the white people did until I guess the late 80s maybe, and people were going to look at those programs, and one of the reasons the government kept control over the federal government or central government kept control over the programs is because the states would not distribute the money equally in terms of needs. So, and Medicare is something that is supposed to be an investment that you make in the government for your future retirement. Excuse me. And the Medicare was supposed to be a separate fund from everything else in the government. However, the Congress has borrowed money from the Medicare fund in order to hold up or prop up rather the government in terms of the wars that they fought. And Medicare has more IOUs in it than any other fund in the country. Now, keep in mind that it is illegal to take money out of Medicare for anything other than Medicare, but they've done that repeatedly. And now they're talking about the depletion of the Medicare fund. Those funds in Medicare, if they had been managed the way they were supposed to be managed, the amount of money that people receive from Medicare would be a livable wage, a livable retirement if they had kept the money in there and genuinely increase the amount of Medicare as inflation began to increase. But they did not do that. And the reason they did not do that is because Southern, in particular, some of Northern, of course, but most of the people who were against Medicare were Southern white folks. And the reason is 80%, and we talked about this before, that it's 80%, they only pay 80% for your medical bills, and you have to pay an amount, or they deduct an amount from your check for hospitalization and medication. All those things were added in order to minimize or put the burden, a greater burden on Black folks to get who got Medicare. And Black folk didn't get Medicare until the late 50s, early 60s, when Black folk got Medicare. So all of these, the racism, the systemic racism that has been woven into every single program in the government that has been deemed a safety net. Every single one of those programs are based on racism, and now the chickens have come home to roost. So, in order to hurt us, they also have to hurt people who look like them, and the people who look like them are paying more attention now because the people who have been taking care of the older people and the disabled through Medicare are not able to do it out of their pockets. So there's going to be a huge amount of resistance involved with this bill. Does that help?
Very do. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Any
Some
other
people
questions?
are
Go ahead.
some people are calling for a nationwide strike, and that's affecting every single large organization to get people's attention and to show them the effect that not having workers get things out in a timely manner can really back up efficiency and productivity for those companies. How do you feel about that?
I have mixed emotions about that. And the reason I have mixed emotions about it is that, can people afford to strike? Because they're already living from paycheck to paycheck. The other part of it is what happens when people strike. Will they care? Or will they just simply sit on the sidelines and let them suffer to the point where they have to come back to work? Look at what's happening with the agricultural workers. Now the government is talking about exempting the agricultural workers from deportation. Why? Because the mega corporations who use undocumented people to pick their vegetables and fruit are crying out because they don't have the workers to do it. Because Hispanics are not coming to work, or they are in hiding to keep from being deported. So that's my sense of mixed emotions about it. So the question is, how do you do that when most people can't afford rent now? Now, what do I think that it would be effective if people were able to afford it? Absolutely, it would be effective. The other problem with that, I think, is getting people on a large scale to do it. Ask yourself this question. Those of you who are currently in the workforce, can you afford to strike? And if so, how long can you be on strike? Now, if the strike, if there were an organized strike, let's say for 2 days, no one goes to work, that would be effective. But a prolonged strike, I don't see it. People being able to afford that. And also keep in mind that you have people of European descent in this country who go into work anyway because they support what's happening until they don't support it anymore. And what I mean is that you got people, let's say you have these people who work BMJ $25 or $30 an hour. And they think that they are okay until they're not, until it begins to hit home for them. So they will still go to work. So I just have mixed emotions about it. However, I suggest very strongly that we leave it to the universe, leave it to our ancestors, because it is the ancestors who kept us and is keeping us out of the streets as you know as we move forward. So my desire is to leave it with them, because there are things that we don't see that are effective through the ancestors. If this was not something that was going to have a positive outcome for the people, that bill never would have passed. Never would have passed. And Lisa Murkowski, she is of European descent, and she is the poster child for white women. They talk out one side of their mouth, and when that man speaks to them, that white man speaks to them, they do whatever they are told. And the deal that she made was for Alaska only, not for the rest of the country. And that entailed increased money for Medicaid. And when you talk about increased money for Medicaid, that also speaks about increased money for the hospital system also. Does that make sense, guys? Or you understand what I'm trying to say? Barbara Jean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. So what are your thoughts about it?
I still think the people should have a people's holiday, even if it's one day.
Yeah, now I can see that.
With an overwhelming number of people, just like they did on Trump's liberation. What was that? He had a birthday or something. Just you know, a people's holiday. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, I can see that.
Arshay 6 times.
I
I just want to say Arshay 6 times, Barbara. I'm sorry, Pastor. I you.
You ain't sorry. You meant to say that.
I sure did. I said it twice.
But
I'm done.
But I agree with you, Barbara Jean, with 1 or 2 days, but a prolonged strike, I don't see that happening.
Rem Richards.
Yeah.
What did she say? I didn't hear. It sounded like some wind or something was in the microphone speaker.
Would you repeat the people's holiday that you talked about, Barbara?
There is a lot of wind right here. I'm outside. So you heard correctly. I was saying, even if we did a people's holiday, and it doesn't have to be sanctioned by the businesses, or we just call it the people's holiday. This is our holiday, and they will feel the effect even of one day if overwhelming number of people decided, I'm not going to work this day, because by then it would be too early to bring in other people who are willing to cover for them, etc. So anyway, that was
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. But in these right to work states like South Carolina, eventually they go get rid of people, but they can't get rid of all of them. That's what I'm saying. So, did you get that, Kathy, with the C?
Yes, I got it. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions, comments?
Mr. Brunel, I have a
Catherine, this
question.
is Evelyn. Oh, I yield thee. Go ahead.
Will it affect those with intellectual disabilities too, the Medicare part?
Medicaid is going
Medicaid.
is going to affect everyone because of the decrease in it. There's a lot of paperwork involved to prove that you need it. In other words, it at the VA, at my clinic, the clinic I go to, everybody in that clinic was terminated on June 30th, and they had to reapply for their job. So I don't know whether there is a provision in that section that deals with Medicaid that says everyone have to reapply for Medicaid. I don't know. But I do know that there are hoops to be jumped through. There's a quite a bit of paperwork to be done. I don't know what that paperwork entails. I don't know if this is a termination and a reapplication. I don't know that. Or whether it is the paperwork that you complete in order to stay on Medicaid. I don't know. And if anyone knows, please speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the best I have, Vermeil. Does that help?
Most certainly it does. Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome. Thank you. Evan?
I'll not right now. I'll wait. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone else? Ron?
Well, I'm going to ask you, and I don't know how to ask this. Most of the time, these sessions are great because they answer questions, they bring us into awareness, they let us know what we need to do and talk about and put out in the macro and all that stuff, and it's a good thing. But it also changes the energy a little bit, kind of a downer a little bit. It's almost like more. Tell us something. Where are we in? And we the positive is who we are and where we are and what we're doing, right? And just reinforce that a little bit before we move to something else, please.
Okay. When it comes to that, we have been conditioned to think that anything that hurts us or others is negative. And that has been the case for hundreds of years. However, what we are seeing now is different than what we have seen. What we are seeing now is the dismantling of a racist system. And when any system is dismantled, it doesn't feel positive. It doesn't look positive. However, the outcome of the dismantling of the system makes everything better for everyone, different than what it was. One of the things that I asked the ancestors is show me who I was before I became who I am. What is that saying? Show me what was in existence before all this chaos. That's what I'm saying. So in order for us to get to a place of balance, the things that create imbalance have to be brought into balance or eliminated without regard to how it happens. Thankfully, we cannot shape it or determine how the dismantling is going to take place. What we are experiencing right now is a mirror to everyone who has stood on us and spat on us and treated us like we were nothing. Not only is that the European, but there's also those who want to be European, the Hispanics, the Asians, etc. So we are nowhere near the experiences that Hispanics are having right now, running and hiding as we had to do after slavery, during, of course, but after slavery, to keep from being deported or from the north to the south, or keep from being killed. So when Ron raises this about saying something positive, I won't lie to you. And I know he's not asking me to do that. However, I cannot say anything positive in the way that we have perceived a positiveness. Our perception of what was positive was actually negative. And our perception now of what is negative is actually positive. So is it going to come with pain? Absolutely. However, the energy of us, everyone who is a party to our discussions, whether they are on at the moment or not, everyone is protected by the energy. And what I mean by protected, stabilized by the energy of the teachers. And if we are not positive in our thoughts, regardless of what appears to be negative, then everyone else feeds off of our energy. And we have to make sure that our focus is is the focus of the ancestors, that we are guided by the ancestors. And the wisdom of the ancestors is what bringing the knowledge to us, the understanding to us. Unfortunately, the understanding of the wisdom of the hands of the ancestor is not seen until after it's been applied. And there have been events that appear to be extremely negative, and we have seen them flipping. The reason, oh my God, the reason we are where we are is because of Obama. The African, and I'm talking spiritually now, I'm not talking politically. The thing that people of European descent love is money. That's the God. And when it appeared as though this country was going into a deep depression, as was in the early years of this, in the 1928, 30. They put an African in place to take the blame for the crashing of the economy. They put an African in place to make sure that no one of European descent would be burdened with crashing the economy. The ancestors made sure that the economy did not crash. Matter of fact, it grew quicker than anyone expected it to. And the energy of the African stabilized the economy. And the poster child for racism was put in place after the Africans stabilized the economy and got credit for a stable economy. And after that, the keeper of the gate of systemic racism was put in office to maintain the norm until the ones who are the geniuses of systemic racism were able, and I'm talking about the Federalist Society, the 2025 Project people were able to put a plan together to usurp the power that would be necessary to keep the country stable. And when they perfected what they were doing, the one who benefited from the Africans' economy could not win the election against the African woman. So people like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk use their computer programs to make sure that the poster child for systemic racism won the election. There's no way that all of the battleground states went to the poster child for racism, for systemic racism. There's no way that could happen when there were Republicans running in those same races who lost. And the numbers were kept just below the recount number. That was due to a computer program that was inserted into the voting machines in those states. So here we are now. The Creator allowed all of this to happen because if the presence of systemic racism, that energy, was still hidden, the people would have still been supportive of that energy. In other words, if Kamala Harris had won, she would have been protective of that energy because she would not have had a choice. The ancestors, the universe desired for all of this to be brought to the surface. And bringing it to the surface exposed the true nature of this thing called America. the ancestors allowed the energy of evilness to rise to the top so that it could be experienced by those who were protecting it. And the ones who were protecting it are the underground MAGA folks as well as the overt MAGA folks were protecting it. White women were protecting it. The only issue that white women come together for is abortion. And they have not really grasped what this bill does to abortion. So what am I saying? I am saying that white women have always given lip service to change when they knew that at the end of the day, they were going to continue to birth and nurture racism. The Hispanics thought if they kiss up to white folks and look down on us and call us niggers, that they would be accepted by white folks. Now they are seeing that is not going to happen. So are the Asians. Neither one of the groups were grateful for what we gave them. We gave them an opportunity to come to this country because before the civil rights movement, there were quotas placed upon people of color who sought to enter this country. It was the civil rights movement that changed that. Not only that, the beneficence of the education opportunities that came out of the civil rights movement were Asians and Hispanics and white women, but not us. What they have seen but not talked about since the end of what is it? Oh God, that they sued to end the programs that allowed us supposedly to be accepted into colleges and universities. When it ended, somebody know what I'm talking about. I wish.
Affirmative action?
Affirmative action, yes. When affirmative action ended, what they saw was the same amount of Africans were being accepted in percentage rather were being accepted into these universities based on merit. Yet there were less Hispanics and far less Asians who were being accepted because they were the beneficiaries of affirmative action. Why do I tell you that? Because I want to paint a picture of what the ancestors / the universe is doing. They are removing from those who were protected by the things that we were supposed to be protected from. They are being removed and we are seeing the beneficence. Now, to bring all of this home, I started with Bush and Obama because that's when this started. However, the foundation was laid to deal with this. And the foundation that was laid to deal with this is what's going on now was when the Creator brought us together as teachers. And all of the meetings we had and all of the research we did searching for God led us to the mirror. And we haven't been led to the mirror and seeing that we are Elohim, gave us the intestinal fortitude to persevere not only in this society, but also in our research for understanding. And when we embraced who we are and put it in the macro about who we are, we started seeing everything be exposed. And the exposure of everything has brought discomfort to us because we had been rocked asleep to sleep, and we have awakened. And when we opened our spiritual eye, we saw the manifestations of what evil energy can do. And we immediately began to repurpose that energy by virtue of our desire to expose everything. So what we are experiencing spiritually does not always feel good. It does not feel like we are moving forward. It doesn't feel like anything is changing. It feels as though everything is getting worse. If you can see this, that here is a building, and the building is a architectural marvel. It is beautiful. But everything inside of the building is rotten. And in order to make repairs to that building, we have to gut it. However, we find out that if we gut it, it's going to cave in. So this thing that looked beautiful has to be torn down from the outside in and from the inside out at the same time. And the people who are standing against this aversion to humanity are the ones who are dismantling from the outside. And the ones who are trying to maintain the system have in their midst those who want the system to be altered. So they're bringing the building down from the inside. And once the building is torn down, the foundation is removed and something else, another foundation has to be built. And we have been granted the privilege of being the formulators, the architects of the foundation that is being laid for balance to be built upon that will benefit all of humanity. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good because we are seeing with the eyes, and our eyes have been conditioned to see those things that bring comfort to us. And our eyes now are seeing things that bring discomfort, even though we are not experiencing the pain that so many others are experiencing. We are simply afraid that what has been happening to others is going to happen to us. We have to alter that mentality and replace it with the understanding that what is happening and has been happening to others is already happening to us. So it is our objective to put things in the macro, understanding in the macro, spirituality in the macro, so humanity can see with the eye and see beyond the farce that has been presented to them. See beyond the thing that looks pretty on the outside, but is rotten to the core. And when we are able to do that, then we begin to embrace the protection of the ancestors and also desire the immediate destruction of everything that's an aversion to humanity. So humanity can experience what true freedom is. The faltering birth rate in Europe and here, the faltering birth rate of Europeans is no accident. The universe is allowing this to take place. Why? Because there is no need to allow savages to continuously be brought into this earth, to perpetuate the systemic racism in this earth. So it is our task to understand that we are to change the mindset of the European. We are to bring civilization to the European. Europeans who are in charge of everything in this earth are uncivilized. There is no way that you can be civilized and make provisions for people to starve to death. There is no way that you can be civilized and wake up every morning to create weapons that will destroy humanity. There is no way that you can be civilized and talk about, not again when we talk about the Holocaust, 6 million Jews, when one man, Leopold, killed 20 million Africans, and Hitler is the worst person because of genocide, but he's not on the list. There's no way you can be civilized and embrace that. There's no way that you can be civilized and take Hispanics and put them in an alligator Alcatraz or deport them, separating them from family. So I am saying that we are living in an uncivilized society. And I'm talking about an uncivilized global society. And those who are leading this global society are savages. They are not civilized. But we have believed that they were civilized because they told us that they are. We never sat down and looked at the actions and begun to see that that European mindset is the closest thing to savagery than anything else. So now we have the golden opportunity to repeat the history of our ancestors. The repeat of the history of our ancestors is the time when Africans led the world, when Africans civilized the world. That is our goal. When we talk about balance, we are talking about civilizing the world. We are talking about bringing civilization to Europe as well as the rest of the world, but primarily Europe, so that mindset can be altered. And if it takes the browning of the world for this to happen, then so be it. Whatever it takes, we must embrace it. Why? Because we are the spiritual entities who have been brought into this earth to function as Elohim in these physical bodies, so that we can bring not only hope, but change to humanity and bring into existence a mindset that is the mindset of the first people on the earth, the mindset of the Africans. We are charged with created in our image and likeness. And the created in our image and likeness is creating the mindset or recreating the mindset of the African from the beginning so that we can experience balance. So don't be discouraged. Don't be afraid. Don't be dismayed by what you see. Embrace who you are and embrace the sight that your spiritual eye gives you. Embrace that sight, that insight. Embrace the desires for humanity to be one entity in the earth with its likeness being that of loving kindness, mercy, etc. Fear begets fear. And fear causes you to lose your focus. And that is the reason that we so desperately need each other to remind us of who we are, the pathway that lays before us, and the task that we have been given. If we could not accomplish this, the burden would not have been put on our shoulders. We are strong enough to carry the load for humanity because all of humanity emanated from us. They are our children, and we must protect them by deconstructing this uncivilized society. I'm done. Questions or comments?
Okay.
I have a question. I yield.
Go ahead, Evelyn. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We talked about Pastor Jay and family about honor to the ancestors. I'm sorry, but we talked about the Bible being mistranslated and how it says where the Jews are the chosen ones. And we believed that at one time, but now that you just described or just talked about our purpose, the reason why we're here, to me, it sounds like we're the chosen ones, the one with the mindset to bring balance to mankind. Am I correct with that?
The ones who are chosen are not, the word Jew, first of all, does not appear in the Bible originally. It says Judah. It doesn't say Jew. The Bible does not speak anything about Jews. It speaks of Judah, which means praise. It doesn't talk about Jews. Israel simply means those who rule as gods, or those who follow the commands of the universe, those who embrace not only the universe, but humanity as a whole. So in that regard, chosen doesn't mean what we have been taught that it means. Chosen does not mean we are superior. It means that we have opportunity to civilize the world. And that opportunity was taken away from us because we allowed it to be. And that opportunity needed to have been taken away from us so that we could create in our image and likeness, as I spoke of earlier, the mindset. And at that point, we become the essence of Elohim in a way that we could never imagine. But not only we as Africans becoming the guards and guardians of humanity, but humanity recognizing that the principles of Mayat are the foundational principles that bring stability to the earth. So this thing about being chosen has been has been used to put Europeans in a place of superiority. And those people who are in Israel are not descendants of anyone in the Bible in terms of Jews, because it doesn't exist. The Bible speaks of spirituality. And if you Google names of Golda Meir or Netanyahu, you will find that those are names that were chosen, but they come from their names, their true names are Polish names for the most part. They come from Eastern Europe. And that is one of the reasons why DNA tests are not allowed in Israel, because the true nature of who they are will be shown. Does that help you, Evelyn?
Yes, sir. And I'm glad you said what you said about how we are to stay the course in so many words, and to stay balanced and to encourage one another when we see things that are on the surface with our eyes. Because I was in my cubicle and I heard a voice that says, tell them that they have each other to stay the course. Everything that you just said. And I felt it because they said, and I said they, because it was like spirit. It's like, because we're going to see times like we see now. And like you said, a lot of people are going to get hurt. They're going to feel the pinch. But it was for us to stay the course and to stay balanced. I put off from saying that to everyone on the broadcast because I didn't think it was time for me to release it. But now that you said what you said earlier, and you've been saying throughout the whole broadcast, I feel okay about it. It's settling with me. But I appreciate what you said because, like you said, we can't look at things on the surface with our eyes. But remember, we have the eye, and we go internally to see the balance. Okay, that's what I want to say. Thank you. I'm done.
Pain is not destructive unless you want it to be. Pain is a source of strength if you embrace it. Ron?
Pastor, sometimes you get on a roll and you're rolling and I don't want to stop you because I think I mess up your thought pattern there. But in the midst of what you were saying, you said something about protecting the ancestors. I don't know if you remember that, putting that out there. I want to hear that again.
I got it. I
Okay.
said we have the protection of the ancestors.
Protection of that. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I misunderstood. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else?
Good morning, everyone. Rev, could you please reiterate again what that bill is going to do for the state of West Virginia?
George, I can't understand you clearly.
Can you hear me now, Rev?
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you please reiterate, or anyone can reiterate, what that bill is going to do for the state of West Virginia? Because from my understanding, West Virginia is over 90% white. With education, they starting pay is about $36,000. How is that bill going to affect the state of West Virginia? Thank you.
That bill is going to put the state of West Virginia on a pathway of starvation and death. Starvation because of Medicaid and SNAP. Death because the lack of medical care. The bill also ends clean energy research, and it opens the door for West Virginia to begin producing coal at the volume that it once did. That was put in the bill for the benefit of those who represent West Virginia, even though they know that that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. So West Virginia, in terms of the detriment of the bill, is no different than any other red state, inclusive of South Carolina. When you talk about over 200,000 people being affected by it in an extremely harmful way, those over 200,000 people are connected to other people also. So I am saying that no one will escape the pain that this bill can bring. And I reiterate, pain is not to destroy you, it's to strengthen you. I do not believe that the universe is going to permit long-term suffering. Suffering is for a purpose. This suffering is to bring people to their senses. It is to make them cry out for Elohim. And they are already doing it. And we are missing it. Every time there is a voice that cries out for the African, for Black folk to be in the streets, that's a cry to Elohim. And Elohim is saying, margin is not going to get it. Politics will not bring change. Spirituality is what brings change. And when the pain is deep enough, the ancestors will let us know when we are to be in the street. Would you make sure your phones are muted, please? Does that make sense? Questions?
Yes.
Thank you. Ron?
Good discussion. Anyone else? Okay.
Let me interject one more thing before we go, okay?
Right.
Ron sent me a video that he had received from Roy. And he asked me to watch it, and I did. Then he asked me what did I get from it. The video spoke to the story about David and Goliath. And the speaker analyzed what the scripture said about both Goliath and David. And a careful reading of the scripture shows that Goliath had to be escorted to the valley to battle David. It shows that Goliath's sight was not clear. Excuse me. It also shows that Goliath was much, much larger than the average man. And in addition to his size and strength, he had armor and was going to battle this little boy who is called David. And David came with a staff and a sling. And Goliath says, "Am I a dog that you bring sticks to fight?" He was seeing double. David had a staff, but it looked like two sticks to him because he had double vision. Why am I interjecting this? David had stones in his satchel, and he used a stone and put it in his sling and wound it up and hit Goliath right between the eyes, the most vulnerable spot on his body. And he fell, and his head was cut off. What does that have to do with us right now? Goliath is the United States of America and other European nations. The European nations are the ones who were standing on the hill, sending Goliath into the battle. America is Goliath, and the African is David. And the Creator is saying to us, it is not the size of the man, or it is not the strength of the nation. It seems to be overpowering when you look at it, and others fear what it looks like. However, all you have to do is have the energy of a David and not fear what you see, and use your spiritual sling to hurl a rock towards the one who is creating havoc, the one who has been sent to make you afraid. And the rock that you have in your sling is the understanding of who you are. And when you understand who you are, the rock in the sling becomes your desires for the benefit of humanity. And when you release the rock from the sling, it hits Goliath right between the eyes. In other words, it hits America in his most vulnerable place. And that place is the source of his money. And when it falls, you make sure that it cannot rise again. So the head of Goliath will cut off. So the authority of what appears to be the giant is disconnected from the society, from the powerhouse, from the body. And it is no longer effective, neither is it breathing anymore. So now that you see it defeated, it is time now for you to understand that all others will retreat, and you are obligated to lay the foundation and raise on that foundation deliverance, manifested deliverance for humanity. We have been seen and taught to believe that we are weak, that we are children, that we are boys facing mighty men. This story says to me that we have to change what we see and become what we see. meaning we are to change what we see with our eyes and become what we see with our eye. And at that point, the power invested in us comes out through our desires. And those desires are received from the ancestors. So we have nothing to fear at all, not even fear itself. I'm done. Question?
Great conclusion to the day. Any questions, y'all? Good place. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you for all the thoughts, questions. Beautiful discussion. Look forward to tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.